Hi, my name is Liz Hathway and this is my astrological look at the week ahead. That's the week starting Monday, March the 5th, 2019. So tomorrow Mercury goes retrograde. It goes retrograde in the very last minutes of Pisces. So it's almost burning its toes on our Aries in a way. It's almost sort of nearly but not quite. And it goes retrograde and it pulls back. Mercury retrograde phases are always interesting because I think on the positive side, it's time for a rethink, it's time to reconsider. It's a great time to get on top of anything to do with administration or correspondence, or, you know, if you want to rewrite or review something, if you're doing research of any kind, you know, you might get stuff back from external reviewers that needs to be looked at again and corrected. So it's very much, certainly with Pisces as well, that, you know, there is that sort of element possibly of having skipped a step, having dropped a stitch, having, you know, some area where things are not as clear for other people as they might be for you. So it's a good time for as well for reflection, self-reflection, and it's sort of happening just, you know, one day before actually you know, Uranus moves into Taurus as well, and Uranus is moving into Taurus under a full moon in Pisces as well. So in some respects, you know, there's this sort of inward, drawing inward, which is very much the Mercury retrograde, because Mercury is very close to the Sun. So it's very much about core thoughts, core ideas, how we translate them. And at the same time, we can say there's a birthing taking place. Under a new moon, it's always a birth of some sort. And this birth is also coupled with the final ingress of Uranus into Taurus. Now, I've done a vlog on Uranus in Taurus, so I don't want to revisit the themes that I mentioned already there. But certainly, you know, if you look at the house that Uranus is in your chart, if you look at, you know, the aspects Uranus is going to be making in the next few years, you know, the planets it's touching, you're going to get an idea of where change is kissing your chart in a way, because, you know, Taurus is Venus ruled. So there's a kind of a Venus sense to this Uranus. It's almost like, as I say, it's like with a kiss. There's something, although Uranus is always going to be revolutionary, it's always going to kick the tables, it's always going to be looking for more space in relationships, more space for self-expression. But it's a sort of definitely also, you know, quite a revolutionary planet always. So, you know, certainly where living standards are concerned, where, you know, there's an erosion of wealth or a feeling of I've got less than I used to have. These are the areas where you'll see that strong, stubborn sort of quality of Taurus now coming through in a quite revolutionary way. It's very interesting that this weekend in Amsterdam, we have two demos 2 days after each other, just as Uranus moves into Taurus permanently. We have on Saturday, we have a feminist march, and on Sunday we have a big climate change march. So there is already, you know, this sense of you know, Uranus, certainly in terms of where I'm living in the Netherlands, it's coming in with a lot of protest and a lot of tam-tam. Yeah, so we've got this new moon. New moons are always, it's always the energy of the seed, if you like, the planting. It's like setting the seeds for the month ahead. What themes in your chart? Where's this new moon falling? That's going to give you a life area. What do you want to birth there? What do you want to plant there? What do you want to see grow and expand there? What do you want to in a way birth there, you know, as an idea, as a form, as a thought? It's a new moon which is conjunct, very, very, very closely conjunct Neptune. We're talking about 20 minutes or so short of the conjunction with Neptune. So this is a very, you know, I mean, Pisces is always about, you know, the sort of connection that we feel and intuitively sense, and it's about the invisible world. This is an area where Pisces feels most comfortable. So we have now, though, with Neptune, this sort of mystical, spiritual sort of enhancement of the new moon energy, but also an increase in its fuzziness. You know, there's a kind of fuzzy edge feel to this new moon, sort of a wet feel to it in a way as well. This is about the imaginary world, how we might imagine. We could look at the house where this new moon is falling and try to imagine how we would, in the imaginary world, picture and envision, you know, the affairs of that house, because everything is born first in mind as an idea. There's this sense of yearning as well with the Sun, Moon, conjunct Neptune, yearning for the ideal, which of course can never be fully realised. And yet it's just because it can't be fully realised that really emphasises and, you know, exaggerates that sense of yearning. It's Venus rule, well, not Venus ruled, it exalts Venus, this conjunction in Pisces, and Uranus, of course, moving into Taurus, as I said. So this is some sense of ideal love as well, or, you know, the ideal working through art forms or religion. It's also a sort of theme of suffering here. You know, when we think of Pisces, we think of Christianity. But we can also have a sense here of energy leaks, leaking energy, systems that are leaking, breakdowns, hacking, this sort of thing, viruses, and confusion as systems stall, because the Sun is the central, you know, intelligence, if you like, of things, the main frame, if you like. And Neptune, as I say, there's this sense of leaking energy, of something spilling over. But then fortunately, when we get to Saturday, we see, you know, that the Sun is sextile Saturn. So this is very much the firewall. This is the fix-it, you know, the sort of, the squad that comes in to clear up and make sure that things are in order and structures things. And so this new moon, in a way, you know, when we look at it on the sort of in the light of Saturn's sextile to the new moon, you know, it could be restored faith. It could be closing off to highlight and emphasize and exaggerate and explore, you know, sort of real possibilities within a framework, you know, because we have this year, you know, Jupiter very strongly placed this year, Saturn very strongly placed. So we have Jupiter square in Neptune, but we have Neptune sextile in Saturn. And this is an ongoing theme through the year, earthing the dream, bringing things into reality, birthing things from the ideal world into the concrete world. So it's a very exciting new moon, which fully taps into and engages with that broader theme for the year. And with, as I say, with Mercury as well moving retrograde, that sense of reflection and revisiting, finding new words to express things possibly. But very, there's a sort of aching, longing, coupled with an ability to create and express and make concrete. On Sunday then we have Mars sextile Neptune. So again, it's very much about putting energy behind something that we imagine, that our heart desires, that we actually need for our spiritual feeding, nourishment. And it's very active. Sextile is a proactive. So it's all kind of tapping in a way now to one of the larger themes of the year, which in the one hand is that Jupiter-Neptune square, which Mercury, of course, as Mercury retrogrades back, it's going to, on the 15th of March, it will conjunct the Sun. So a lot of things will get burnt up then. You know, around 15th of March, I think, you know, a lot of clearing out will have happened. This is Cazimi, the Sun in Cazimi, in the heart of the Sun. A lot of stuff, a lot of dross, a lot of thoughts that aren't working properly are going to get burnt up there. And then we get 16th of March, then we get that square to Jupiter. And again, you know, there's always that risk with the Jupiter square of making mountains out of molehills, getting lost in the sheer volume of information. So maybe this new moon as well is about making contact with ourselves and in a way kind of getting clear what our area of interest is. You know, that's that Saturn role, that we can really narrow it down, narrow our focus down and birth something solid within that perhaps, you know, smaller framework, which in a way will kind of ward off, you know, the overflood of stuff that could come when Mercury again squares Jupiter. I'm being quite Mercury retrograde myself. I can feel sort of Dutch words coming up, like overflood. That's not English, but it's overflood, that's Dutch. So there's the duality in my communication today as well. Wishing you a great week. Thanks for listening. Bye.